Okay, I am here to warn you. I've had many people message me saying they had just bought a brand new TIG welding machine, but realized there is a ton of other stuff missing. Although now has never been a better time to buy or order a TIG welding machine. They're more affordable than ever, you can get them shipped right to your door, and arguably they do even more incredible work nowadays. But there is one major problem that people need to be aware of before purchasing one. Your welding machine is only one very important part of the equation of everything you need. A lot of people don't think about it. Let's get into some stuff you should know, both with their setup as well as how are they gonna learn this. Now, the first thing that not a lot of people think about actually getting stocked up on before they start learning is materials to practice on. A lot of people think they may have access to like a scrap bin or something like that to grab material out of and learn on. Look at that scrap bin. I'll have plenty of stuff to grab, right? I think you'll find that when you start to get into a lot of that material, in a lot of cases, they're gonna realize a lot of that material is dirty, contaminated, weird thicknesses, different sizes. It's gonna be covered up with all kinds of other crap and grinding dust and whatever that's been flying around over the years. Trying to learn on stuff like this and cut it up into something that you can weld is 100% a huge pain in the butt. The first thing I recommend you do is get some proper practice material. Now, there are a couple options that I recommend to students in my online TIG welding program. The first is to order or purchase welding coupons from somewhere. You can order these online. This is my friend Justin's site. He has a ton of different coupons that are different types of metal that you can order. You can get them shipped right to your door, easy as pie. You can also go to a local shop in your area, and if they have sheet aluminum, they can shear some pieces up for you. In my program, I generally recommend that people get started with like 1/8 of an inch or 3.2 millimeter thickness, or also 3/16 of an inch or approximately 4.6 millimeters thick. This gives you a good variety of different sizes of aluminum, and it will be squeaky clean. You can get a pile of learning done working on plates that are nice and clean like this. Now, another option that a lot of my online students do is they go somewhere where they can buy a length of flat bar that is 3 inches wide. It will be the same thicknesses that we just talked about, either 1/8 of an inch or 3/16 of an inch. And then typically what they do is they cut these up into 6-inch strips. People can do it pretty easily if they have a chop saw set up properly. Whatever it is you use to chop it up, just make sure that you do it safely, wear proper safety gear. Sometimes when people go this route of looking for a length of flat bar, it can actually work out to being cheaper. But again, do your research, get some clean material to practice on. Now, we also need filler material. Again, like I said, get yourself something proper. Don't use some leftover stuff your buddies had kicking around his shop for like 20 years on a dirty shelf somewhere. You can literally order a box or tube of this stuff off Amazon. It's easy. Personally, with aluminum, I recommend getting started with 5356. Another alloy that is common is 4043. But after teaching people over the years, I genuinely find that working with 5356 comes a little more naturally for a lot of people. A lot of people find it a little bit easier to work with. I recommend that to get started. Again, after experience of teaching people over the years, I personally prefer to recommend a filler material diameter of 1/8 of an inch or 3.2 millimeters. I find this just gives you a little more filler material to work with. It helps things stay a little bit cooler. But again, another very common diameter is 3/32 of an inch or 2.4 millimeters is very common as well. But honestly, like I said, just make sure whatever you end up using, make sure it is new and it is clean. Okay, the next thing, this is something else that not a lot of people realize they might need when purchasing a welder, and it is proper consumables. Now, when I refer to consumables, typically I mean parts that go inside of your torch. Also be sure to get yourself a box of stainless steel wire brushes. Trust me, you're gonna use these all the time. These are gonna be different things for your torch that are specific to stuff like welding stainless steel. You're gonna wanna have options as far as different gas lenses and stuff like that. Most machines come with little kits that have basic consumables in them, but honestly, a lot of the time these are pretty limited and geared more towards beginner type stuff. Personally, I prefer to have a little bit more of an assortment of different options I can use in my torch. Experimenting with different types of cups is always a lot of fun. And again, you do not have to break the bank with buying a bunch of expensive stuff. But when it comes to learning, have gear that's a little bit nicer and nice and clean is gonna help you learn a little bit faster. So getting a good handful of spare cups ready to go. I might buy a couple different types of tungstens and have those prepared, ready to go as well. A good pile of spare inner collet sleeves, outer collet bodies. This is gonna be a great assortment of stuff to get you up and running. Now, if you wanna spend a little bit more money on some flashy stuff, there are a couple different types of companies that make really great TIG welding cups. I definitely recommend checking these out as well. Now, when I first got my welders here, I fell into this next category for sure. And this is how to set up properly with good safety. TIG welding is dangerous. Making sure that you are set up to prevent any problems is extremely important. Now, there are two things as far as safety and welding in a shop or studio like this one here, and these two things really freak me out. The first one is fire. Fire bad. Obviously, we are welding. There is a ton of stuff around us that can catch fire easily. Commonly, we have to clean and wipe off our material with cleaning solutions or something like that. Those things are extremely flammable. Make sure you put them away before welding. Before I do any welding, I always double check to make sure that my cleaning solutions are put away safely. You can see I have a metal bucket that I can cover over properly and put the stuff inside away from my welding area. Now, another thing that is very important that not a lot of people consider is the risk of electrical fire. Take a look at what kind of power the machine that you are buying requires. Make sure that when you are getting set up, you are wired up properly. Do not compromise or cut corners on this, please. I don't want to see you running some crazy extension cord from another room behind a dryer or a freaking oven or something like that. Do your research, please, and get wired up properly. Now, considering worst case scenario, something catches fire. Uh-oh, what do? I'm running around here freaking out, going crazy. Boom, I have a fire extinguisher right here. Make sure that you are set up and ready to take care of anything in the event of fire. Seriously, the subject of fire freaks me out so much. In my online program where I teach people how to TIG weld, I remind people all the time to check around them before they start welding. Make sure to put their chemicals and cleaning solution away before welding. And just generally talking to people, I recommend that you do your research on what you need to set up properly, whether you're setting up in your garage, your shop, whatever. Now, the second thing that really freaks me out, and this is very, very important, and that is to make sure that we have proper ventilation. Now, when I first started in here getting my shop set up, I didn't really have any proper ventilation aside from opening the giant garage door, cracking a window, and setting up a fan to pull some fumes away. Just try and move some air around, get some fresh air back in here. Making sure that I was wearing a proper respirator for welding. This definitely did the trick to keep me safe for the most part. Nowadays, I'm lucky to have this fume extraction system in my shop here. Again, I've done a full review on this machine here. This is an unbelievable upgrade to my shop here. But regardless of what you have access to, just make sure that you get some fresh air and have proper ventilation. Definitely make sure to purchase a welding respirator and get something with proper filters. Seriously, I used to be such an idiot with this. I did all kinds of welding here and there when I was young without a mask. Basically just being too lazy or too busy to go get my mask and put it on. I do not compromise with this at all anymore. I try and stay as healthy as possible. I'm fine. Now, even today when I'm welding in here and I have this fume management system set up to take care of me in here, even with this machine taking care of me at all times while I'm welding, I am still wearing a respirator. I'm really freaked out about having some kind of health issues pop up later in my life, and if you're getting into welding, honestly, you should be too. I don't say this stuff to freak you out. I honestly just want you to be aware of it. Take care of yourself. Now, this next one's kind of funny because a lot of people don't consider this stuff until their welder is actually on their way to their house. Oh shoot, what about helmet and gloves? Seriously, I talked to a lot of people who forget about this one. Now, here's my take on this one. As far as buying a helmet goes, this is kind of similar to buying golf equipment. You can buy some basic stuff that's probably just fine to get you out there and get you going, or you can spend a shitload of money on some really expensive and fancy gear. But honestly, while you're first learning, the difference between the price point on a cheaper set of golf clubs compared to some really fancy ones is not gonna make or break your game. Well, at least with my game, at least. Now, the helmet that you see me using on my channel all the time, this is a really good helmet. I absolutely love this one. But to be honest, I also have these entry-level ones here that I've used for years on my channel now. But honestly, they work completely fine. I've dropped them like a million times. They still work fine. Just get something that's relatively lightweight on your head, something that you can see out of clearly, and you should be good to go. Now for gloves, honestly, this is probably something that I recommend actually spending a little bit more money on. Your hands with TIG welding need to do a lot of really important work. You need to have proper dexterity, and you need to be able to move your torch as well as your filler hand with good dexterity. This is going to be really frustrating if you have some crappy gloves that feel like you are wearing boxing gloves. Honestly, like I said, having good gloves is probably one thing that I really recommend getting. I wear these ones from Defiant Metal right here. To be completely transparent, I am currently sponsored by this company right now. But to be honest, I've used these gloves for years even before I was sponsored. I love them. They just genuinely fit my hands and they feel better. You have much better dexterity in your hands so you can feel things better. You can move around a lot easier. Honestly, just buy these ones. They're awesome. Now, for other types of PPE that you should wear, Honestly, for sure, get proper eye protection. I wear this stuff when I'm working around the shop, detailing parts or whatever. These ones are from Heatwave here. These ones are actually really cool. They have a ton of awesome styles that I'm probably gonna get and try out. If you're gonna spend money on eye protection, you might as well get something cool, right? TIG welding is also pretty loud when you're welding aluminum, so make sure you get yourself a box of earplugs and keep those things plugged up. Other than that, just make sure you have clothing kind of like what I'm wearing here. You can bundle up properly. You don't have any exposed skin or holes in your clothes or whatever. Now, we mentioned it briefly at the beginning of the episode, but one of the most important things people do not consider is material to teach them how to learn. TIG welding is a really tricky thing to learn if you don't know how to start properly. Now, luckily for you, there has never been a better time to learn stuff in the comfort of your own home. Chances are, if you watch my channel already, you know I have hundreds of tutorials on my YouTube channel. If this is the first video you're watching on my channel, welcome. And I also have hundreds of tutorials you can learn TIG welding from on my channel. Check them out. There are workshops that you can take part of at local schools. There are blogs, websites devoted to teaching people online. I personally probably run the biggest full-blown TIG welding online school, and I have literally had over 1,000 students through it. Combined with all the free stuff that you can check out on YouTube, on other channels as well, there is literally endless opportunities to learn. So make sure you take full advantage of all the free learning content that's out there. This episode is going to give you the most important things to learn first. Go watch this episode next. Do a random act of kindness for a stranger today. My name is Dusty, Phil and Chill. We will talk soon. Peace.